welcome to yet another episode of Gaming the System, and we are here to continue chatting about voice actors in video games. And you've joined me, Alex, Jem, and Matt. And so, picking up from our last episode, I'd like to talk to you about the variety of roles within video games for voice actors. And I'm curious to know, I don't know, I've tried to look up, but could not find anything about how many of those are given to men and how many of them are given to women, regardless of the types of characters that are available to play. Just be interested. Also feel like a thing that I've picked up on in a lot of games is just like how a lot of who I would assume are older women just covering the voices of a lot of children. I don't know if you guys have noticed anything similar, but I feel like women are often employed to cover those sorts of voices, and whether that's anything we should be talking about particularly. I don't know really how to phrase the question other than, what do you think about the amount of voices in video games and those that are covered by men in gaming? Jem, do you want to jump in?
I did a little bit of looking. For people who are, like the top 10 voice actors and things like that. And what actually came across from that was there was quite an even spread between male and female voice actors getting recognised. So I do feel a little bit like that we've had some pretty awesome female characters in games over the last few years, and I think they've really kind of like been given the attention and the support and the, obviously, hopefully the funding to attract really awesome voice actors for them. So I thought that was quite interesting, because generally when I'm like doing a bit of research for one of our sessions, I sort of like go and look it up, and it's just this big long list of men, whatever it is. So that was quite gratifying, and I looked at sort of 3 or 4 different ones. I did find that it was interesting because I looked at one from about 10 years ago, sort of top 10 voice actors video, and then I looked at one that was done just a few months ago by the same people, and there was a lot more female in the more recent ones. But I think that's just because I think it just goes to show what we've been saying a lot of, that that people are now taking more and more I was going to say risks. That's not the right word, because I don't think it is a risk, but people are taking female characters more seriously now, and they're recognizing that there is an audience for them, that there is a desire for people to play these characters, and so which we knew that was going to be the case. So I think that's giving women more opportunity to step up and be noticed for being just as good at this as men. Who knew?
Who knew? Indeed.
I think the problem has always been, and this has been the same for TV and movies, is women are allocated only a handful of kinds of characters to play. Mothers, girlfriends, wives, daughters, princesses. And those characters are often very samey, and you don't have to perform as a unique character. You just come and say the lines that have been said 1,000 times by 1,000 different unimportant supporting actresses. And the problem is men only get the interesting roles because normally the protagonist is the most interesting person, and then maybe one supporting character, and then the villain. And when all of those roles are given to men, then it just means that women don't get to do the interesting work. They get the boring, throw off placeholding work. And so it's opportunity. And
sure.
because we're all the same, we can all bring different things. Then it's just I can't imagine how galling it must be to be repeatedly told, "Oh, look, you're a mother of two and a husband and wife or girlfriend of Damsel in Distress," just over and over again. Must be exhausting.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's definitely an interesting way to think about it. I think there's a lot of crossover, like you say, between TV and film, and those sorts of stereotypical roles that women fill. It's very much a thing in some of the video games that feature male protagonists, let's say. Often the female characters are sort of swept to the side and come in for a little bit of colour and then go away again and don't really impact the story very much or the message of the game. So yeah, I definitely agree there. And it's interesting, I was looking at what I like to call celebrity voice actors versus your run-of-the-mill voice actor in a video game. Recently, with some of the really big video games, you've got people coming in from outside of gaming to do voices. You've even got cameos from people like Nick Cage in, was it Dead by Daylight? I think there's like a whole DLC with just this character played by Nick Cage, and he's done the voice work for it. So God knows how much he got paid for that. But I'm sure it was a lot more than your regular video game actor, voice actor rather. But yeah, and then I was thinking about something like God of War, and we think about how amazing all the voice acting was in God of War, and how the character of Freya, the lady who voiced Freya, came in knowing absolutely nothing about video games at all, had never even really, well, she knew about motion capture, I think, but she just had no idea how it would translate into the game, what was going on or anything. But I think she gave one of the most stellar performances of the entire series, especially in Ragnarok. I think she was pretty central in the development of a lot of the characters around her, like Kratos and Atreus. But again, coming in knowing absolutely nothing about video games. So I think it's interesting just to note the crossover there, in that you can come in from essentially a different part of the industry and still give what is an incredible performance and probably be paid a lot more for it than some of the people who've been stuck in the gaming industry for like their entire careers, which I think is just interesting to think about as well. And then you've got people who have spent most of their time within the gaming industry and become celebrities of the voice acting world. So people like Nolan North, Troy Baker, names we all know pretty well for their many and diverse roles across games. And then of course you've got people like Laura Bailey now and Ashley Johnson from Last of Us, who are becoming more and more known and a much bigger deal than even some of the male video game voice actors, which is great to see. But I just wondered whether you guys had any thoughts about the differences or not between celebrity voice actors and regular voice actors, and whether there should be discussions about that and whether it's really fair.
One of the things that I came across when I was reading for today was about Troy Baker and how why hadn't he been chosen to play Joel in the TV series of Last of Us. But actually, he was in the series as a different character.
He was. And so was Ashley Johnson, I think, as well.
Yeah, there was a couple, and so I think that. But I mean, it is a different skill, and I think that also should be recognised. That and that doesn't mean that it's lesser. I think this is one of my things when it comes to equality and is within society, is that things can be different, but that doesn't mean that one is better than the other, or one is more held more value than the other. And I think so with voice acting, I think it's like acting with a mask. That is an art form in itself, and people spend years learning to do that. Just like mime artists were hailed as being extremely skilled form of acting, because they didn't speak. So I think it's but to sort of the assumption that you can just move from one to the other without any kind of problem. And I know there are people who do, and there are definitely people who can, but I think it's not as simple as that. It requires sort of a different set of skills. So I think it's not necessarily right for Troy Baker to play Joel in the TV show, but it's not. It shouldn't be seen to be a snub because he didn't. It just might not be right. But I doubt very much that, and I cannot remember his name. Who plays Joel in Last of Us in the TV series? Pedro.
Yeah.
I love him so much, and I can't even remember his name. And it's a good job that Matt's so good at mouthing names. Pedro Pascal. But I wouldn't expect him to play Joel in the games going forward either. And I think that it's nice to have a bit of a distinction. And what was nice is that they did involve those voice actors in the TV series. So they acknowledged their contribution to the game and subsequently to the characterization and all of that, because again, the artist can only do so much. I mean, again, when I was prepping for today, I watched one of these top 10s, and one of the characters was from a game that I don't know. It was a male character, I don't know. And the graphics were really not great. They weren't awful, but they weren't great. And his delivering of the lines just turned it from a okay TV, an okay game, into like a really intense scene. So I think that's the other thing. It can make and break it. So it is a skill. So I don't know if that has anything to do with the question that you asked, but
no, but it's definitely yes, yeah. No, I think it's good because I was really I should clarify. I am mostly playing devil's advocate with these questions. I don't hate celebrity voice actors. They're great, but yeah, I just feel like it's interesting to think about the potential differences between different types of voice actors and just what the landscape is like for them, really. But yeah, no, it's definitely good to talk about as well. What do you reckon, Matt? Are you all right?
Yes. Coming back again to, it's all about how workers are treated and how labour is sort of judged in its validity. So when someone like Pedro Pascal comes and maybe does a voice, a different example. So Norman Reedus in Death Stranding,
yes,
massive star. People like that, they get treated like, oh, you're one of the ruling class. We get everything, and we bow to you, and we treat you like a human being. But a voice actor who might have exactly the same amount of lines, his work is treated as, oh, you're lucky. You should be doing this for free. This is nothing. You should be lucky that you're getting paid anything for this. When that is like how the two different professional classes are treated. There is no amount of or quality or kind of work that a working class person can do that won't be judged by the ruling classes. Oh, of course, it's easy and simple. Why you shouldn't even be asking to be paid for this. It's ridiculous. And this is where the union stuff needs to come in. You're going, no, you all treat us all the same. You don't get to treat anyone like they're worthless. Because that seems to be a core part of capitalism, is denying someone their rights and their worth to how they're being treated for some reason. And there's, as The Last of Us showed, people who only do voice acting can, of course, do regular in-person acting, and vice versa, because actors are just, it's like you say, there are people who can do like radio shows, and they bring this incredible tension and movement and everything just through the power of their voice. And you can go, yeah, some people, Pedro Pascal is infinitely more famous and has greater notoriety than Troy Baker and Ashley Birch. That's just the nature of celebrity and their levels of fame. And you can pay the one who draws more, you pay them more, but that doesn't mean you get to, it's like you said, Jem, it's a race to the bottom of going, right, we're going to get you, push you down as far away from, the further you are away from Pedro Pascal in terms of fame, that means the less we get to pay you. And it's one rule for them, another rule for the others, and I hope this SAG-AFTRA strike does something. Keep on bringing it back to that.
Yeah, no, it's very important. No, definitely, and I'm glad it's happening as well. Yeah, I'd love to know about any voice actors who you feel like really made a game for you, because we talked about voice acting making or breaking a game. I'd love to know who some of your favourites are, your favourite performances, anything like that, really. I'd like to kind of round out on a fun and positive note. Yeah.
Shall we do a round robin?
Yeah.
Where we do one each and keep
That'd
on going?
Really good. Yeah.
Don't keep on going, because I don't know how many.
Then we'd never end. But okay, I'll do one for me, I think. Okay. I can't remember his name, but the guy who does the voice of Celebrimbor / Mimir. Celebrimbor from Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, and Mimir from God of War, because those are two completely different voices, but the same person. So well done to that man whose name I've forgotten. I'm very sorry, but that's one of my favourites for sure. I'll look him up while you share yours.
Which one to go next? Shall I go?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay. Well, I want to do a shout out to Melina Jurgens probably, who plays Senua in Senua's.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Senua's pet. Yeah, Sacrifice.
Yes, Sacrifice.
I just was thinking Hellblade. Senua's Hellblade. Anyway, because it's a really intense character, and really intense scenes that she has to do, and she hadn't done voice acting before, and she hadn't done the suit acting either, which she also did. So she kind of like went in there, jumped in at the deep end, so to say, and just kicked it out of the park. I'm just mixing up my metaphors. That's the word I was looking for. It's been a long day.
It has. It's good. Matt, can you name one?
I'll start with my OG, the best one of all time of everything. It is Troy Baker.
Yes.
His versatility is just magnificent. He's the sort of person who again, this is a thing that anime actors don't get enough credit for. The sheer versatility of their voice, the accents they can do, the like, so Joel and Talion are just completely different accents, and he was in Death Strand, and he's just got one of those voices that you could just listen to, just think, oh, this is going somewhere, this is important. And one of the, not only can he do leading, he can do supporting as well. In Batman Arkham Knight, he played the Arkham Knight, and the acting in that is it just breaks your heart every time he speaks, because it's such a broken and like devastated character that he plays, and that's the richness that he's the best. That's my number one.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Well, to fill in for those who would love to know, the voice of Mimir and also Celebrimbor is Alistair Neil Duncan from Edinburgh, Scotland, which is an entirely different accent altogether. So yeah, amazing accents. Another one for me, I think, would have to probably be the very first Lara Croft from Tomb Raider / Tomb Raider 2, whose name was Shelley Blonde. It could have been Judith Gibbons though, because it depends which one was Tomb Raider 2 and which one was Tomb Raider 1, because Judith Gibbons was Lara from 1997 to 98, so it may well have been her. But from my childhood memories, fond memories of playing Tomb Raider, it was the first voice from a woman playing a game as the protagonist who I heard say the word no, which is a fun one. Whenever you had something in your inventory that Lara couldn't use on a lock, or like to pull a lever or activate like something to happen somewhere else in the game, she would just say no, like that, which I always remembered very fondly, and also because it just shows her defiance as a character. In breaking that fourth wall and speaking to you, it's also almost an accessibility tool. It's like the text can't come up on screen saying you can't use this, so Lara had to say no instead, which is great. But yeah, that was definitely a good one for me. Should we go back around the other way? We'll go from that. And have you got one? Oh, don't know if we can hear you, Matt. You're good.
How about now?
Yeah, you're good.
One of my favourite games ever, but is a very underappreciated and not really very well known, a game called Vampire.
I've heard of that one. Yeah,
it's like a quarter Dark Souls sort of esque gameplay, and then 75% is this magnificent choose your own adventure, branching like dialogue detective mystery. You're trying to work out why there's a plague of vampires in London, and it's just like similar to, by the sounds of it, Jem, to this Disney Valley.
Yeah,
something
Dream Valley.
Dream something Valley.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of game that is lots of talking, lots of conversations, lots of branching dialogue trees. And the guy, so your character, he must have hundreds of pages of dialogue, but every time he speaks, you just want to listen. That sort of just him saying these words is fascinating and interesting, and holds you and grips you. And his name is Anthony Holland. I don't think he's been in anything else.
Yeah,
but it's just, you just need to. There are so many incredible voice actors who, it's just like musicians. There are musicians everywhere that are just amateurs that could be professional musicians. It's like this everywhere. You get someone who has that kind of voice, get them to read, bring them in for a few days and get them to read everything in the menus. And so you go, oh, this option of going controls, settings, inventory. There are people who you could read. It's the old adage of you could listen to them read the phone book. There are so many of those people out there, and this guy is one of those. I could just listen to him say things.
There's a whole market out there. Tapped for these voice actors. They can supplement their crappy wages. I'm going to go for Morrigan's voice in Dragon Age, because we love her, which is Claudia Black. And I just love the character, and I think she brought this real sort of, there's such depth to Morrigan's character, and I think that really came through, because it could have been quite a flat character, because it's a bit of a cliche character, but actually, I think Claudia brings a really good roundness to the character. And also, I really loved Farscape, and so she has a very special place in my heart from her character in Farscape, who was just totally kick-ass and generally had it all going on, really, and I just really liked her in that. So it's fun that she did. So she's an example of somebody who was doing both not stage, film, and or TV and game voicing and stuff. So yeah, she will be my next one.
Nice. Excellent. We're making a good list here. I've got one more. Have you guys got one more?
I've got one more.
Cool. So my third and final favourite voice actor is Cissy Jones, who's an American voice actress. And that is because of the voice that she gave to the lady in Firewatch, the character who you spend a lot of your time listening to through a walkie-talkie. And she is your only contact as another human being. You play Henry, who's kind of been given the job of Firewatch warden / park ranger in this national park in somewhere in America. And you communicate by walkie-talkie. And so you really get to know this lady through her voice. And she really brings the character to life and gives you that sense of connection. And it's just a lovely, friendly voice. And you're like, oh, I can't wait till tomorrow and I get to speak to you again. And it's just really nice. I think everyone should play Firewatch. It's a great game. It includes finding a tortoise and keeping it as your pet. Why would you not want to play a game that involves that? But yeah, it's a lovely, lovely game. And that is a unique way of involving the talent of a voice actor by making it just about hearing that person's voice and knowing nothing else about them, never seeing them, nothing else like that. So it's a brilliant way of incorporating that into the game. Yeah. Interestingly, she also has worked on games such as The Walking Dead, Life is Strange, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Darksiders 3. So she's pretty prolific.
Who did she play in Life is Strange then?
I will look her up. Hold on. Cissy Jones, Life is Strange, which is another great game. Joyce Price, the homeless lady, and one unnamed minor character. Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, Walking Dead is another awesome game, actually, with and awesomely voice acted. But I'm going to go with Laura Bailey, who voices Abby in Last of Us, because, again, another very complex character, and she just brings complete life to it and to her, and really hit the right tone. There was never a moment where, because there can be times when you're like, that didn't really sound quite right, or they're in the middle of a long thing and then suddenly the sound changes or the tone changes a bit and it's just quite jarring, and I didn't have that at all. I mean, that's mostly to the credit of the the whole sort of team, because they obviously had polished it, but she brought a character to the character that I think really enhanced it. And I don't have any more after this, but I did just want to do an honourable token male in my list. In my list for Richard Ridings, who did the voiceovers for the Dungeon Keeper games, and I just really loved it. Just like slightly sarcastic, demonic tones that used to just potter along in the background when I was like dealing with imps and various other creatures as I was trying to build my dungeon, which it was an excellent game.
Awesome.
And
nice.
I think I've got my number 3 and then a few honourable mentions. So my favourite kind of voice actors are the ones that you strip it right down to it's just a handful of words. It's not a very verbose character. It's just very laconic. But every, these sort of small handful of words and the way they say them gives you a complete, everything about the character through that. And one of the best of that is David Bateman, who plays Agent 47 in Hitman. He speaks very little, but he's got this wonderful dry wit. And people who, like actors like David Tennant, who they can say a handful of words and then something about it shines through that. So it's like alchemy. That's why you get the best writing distilled down. You don't have to do tons and tons of wordy bullshit stuff. And I think he's one of the best at that. Geralt talks a lot, but he is an iconic voice of a character that keeps you need that in particularly these messages we haven't talked about is, as opposed to TV and film, the game can be 100 hours long.
Yeah.
And your character will be talking constantly all the way through. So again, it's a completely different kind of, it is labor. Anything you do with your body has to be counted as labor, and it's just a different kind of labor. Honorable mentions, Melisanthe Mahout, who plays Cassandra in AC Odyssey.
Yes.
Infinitely better than the guy who plays Alexios.
Yeah.
Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, Batman and the Joker in the Arkham series. Completely. Arkham Knight is one of the best games I've ever played. And Ezio
Auditore Difference.
Yes, Roger Craig Smith. Just those kinds of the more like verbose, charismatic characters, because you can't fake charisma. That's one thing that's what you should pay through the nose for. That's different kinds of acting, but just
brilliant. Well, what a lovely end to the episode. Thank you both for your input. I very much enjoyed hearing everything you had to say. I hope everyone watching and or listening did too. I'm sure they did. And what I had to say as well. So that's it for another episode of Gaming the System, the Feminist Gaming Podcast. And if you don't already know, we take a look at gaming through a feminist lens. We'll be back for more episodes every Thursday, and shortly, at the beginning of next month in September, heading to Cardiff to do our first ever gaming panel. I'm very excited about that. Caroline will be joining us. Very exciting as well. The Fab Four back in business. If you are in the area, take a look for some tickets and come and say hello. We'd love to see you. Thank you very much. That sounds so weird to say. Okay. I think that's it for the episode. So we'll see you next time. And thank you, everybody. Until then, bye.
We hope you enjoyed that episode of Gaming the System. If you want to support us, you can donate to us through our PayPal by sending it to wearegamingthesystem@gmail.com if you want to send us a one-off donation. If you want to donate to us monthly, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/gamingthesystem. Until next time, bye-bye.